Hey, what's up everybody? This is C.L.S. All-in-One. In today's video, I'll be assembling and reviewing a storage shed manufactured by Suncast. This shed provides approximately 106 cubic feet of storage space, and the outside dimensions of this shed are approximately 5 foot 10 and a half inches for the width, by 3 foot 8 and 1/4 of an inch for the depth, by 6 foot 5 and a half inches for the height. So they do recommend that you should have some sort of solid foundation to set the shed on, such as a treated wood platform or a concrete slab, but I have found that it's not absolutely necessary, and you can just level the dirt in the area where you want to install the shed. But you will want to keep in mind that the floor or bottom of the shed will be a little less stable without a solid foundation. The shed comes in a neatly packed large box and weighs approximately 185 pounds. Inside the box, you'll find some nicely detailed step-by-step instructions that are fairly easy to follow, thanks to the very simplistic design of this shed, which can be assembled in just a few hours. And here's a look at what all comes inside the box. Here is the roof support bars and the hardware needed to assemble the shed. And here's the panels for the walls, roof, doors, and floor, which are all made out of a resin with double walls and UV protection. The first step is to get the floor panel in position and level where the shed will be located. Then it's time to start installing one of the side wall panels. These panels have tabs on the bottom that line up with slots in the floor panel. Then it locks into position by pushing the side panel towards the back. Now at this point, having an extra person to help hold this wall in position will be really helpful, but this can be done on your own by just finding something that can hold the wall upright for a few, such as a board or level, as I am demonstrating here. But for this job, I decided to go ahead and use a helper who also happens to be the property owner. Now it's time to grab the left back panel, which also has tabs located on the bottom and sides that line up with slots on the side panel and floor panel. And this one locks into position by sliding it into the side panel first, then it pushes down to lock in place. Now I will grab the right side panel and place it in position by lining up the tabs with the slots, then pushing it back to lock it in place. Then I can grab the right back panel and line up the tabs with the side panel, then once again push it down to lock it in place. After getting these 4 panels in position, you can then secure the back 2 panels together with 3 large plastic bolts, and to tighten these, there is an Allen wrench tool that does come provided in this kit. And here's a look at where the panels join in the corners and at the floor. So everything here has a nice snug fit, and it's standing on its own pretty well at this point. Now it's time to start assembling the roof panel. The first step is to install 2 larger support bars and 1 smaller support bar, which secure to the panel with some Phillips head screws. Next, I will go ahead and install 7 L brackets to the roof panel with 7 large plastic bolts. And here's a look at the Allen wrench tool that comes provided that you use to tighten the bolts. After installing the 7 larger L brackets, it's now time to install 2 smaller L brackets that secure with screws on the front side or the door side of this panel. And now this panel is ready to install. It should slide then tap down right into place, and the 7 larger L brackets should line up with holes at the top of the walls, where 7 large plastic bolts will be used to secure this panel to the wall panels. And here is a closer look at where the L brackets attach to the wall panels. Next, it's time to attach the top and bottom locks for the doors, which just press down into place with the latch buttons in this position when not extended. Now I can place 3 hinges on each door like this. So you just want to turn it to where it can slide onto the door, then turn it back the other direction to keep it from sliding off. Then I can start attaching the doors to the shed. So they just press into position like this. Then you secure them with bolts as shown here. And once all the hinges are in position, you can then add a screw to each hinge hole located right here, which will add some extra support for each hinge. So I now have 1 door mounted, and I just need to repeat the same steps for the opposite side. Now, all that is left on the doors is to install the door handles, which is really simple to do. The handle is secured to the door with the use of 2 washers and 2 screws for each handle. To lock the shed, there is a couple holes located on the handles where you can put a padlock, but because they're made of just plastic, I opted to just install my own metal hasp, which I'll show a little bit more of here in just a few. To secure or anchor the shed floor to a concrete foundation or slab, a hammer drill will need to be used to make the holes in the concrete. Then 4 half-inch concrete anchors can be used in each corner to secure the shed floor to the concrete. And if you are using a wood foundation, 4 lag bolts along with large washers will work well. And if you're just securing the shed to the earth or dirt, as I am, you can use large earth anchors such as this, or just use 4 2-foot pieces of rebar like this with a 90-degree bend on the top. Then you can drive down the rebar in each corner at somewhat of an angle to keep the shed secure with the ground. And for an optional step, if your shed is leaning up against another structure, such as a garage or retaining wall as shown here, you can go ahead and secure the shed to that structure using suitable hardware such as lag bolts for wood framing and concrete anchors for concrete. And again, this is not necessary, but it will give your shed a little more stability. And for another optional step, you can install up to 3 shelves on the back wall of this shed. The measurements for this are included in the instructions, but the shelving material will have to be purchased separately. Once the shelves are cut to the correct size, with notches cut in as well, they should slide right into position in the 3 provided spaces on the back wall, then secure with screws at each end of the shelves. So here's a look at the shelves and how they fit. And these still need to be secured with 1 screw at each end. These shelves seem to work okay, but I found that they wanted to sag in the middle because the span is a little wide. So I decided to purchase some additional shelving brackets along with some half-inch screws, which added the much needed proper support I was looking for in these shelves. And here is the shed after completion. So the doors have a latch at the top and bottom, which keeps the doors secured nicely. The doors are also secured with a metal hasp that I can put a padlock on, and this had to be purchased separately, and I installed it with bolts, washers, and nuts. I added this because I felt the built-in locking point on the door handles was too weak because it's just made of plastic and could break fairly easy. Overall, I think this is a great little shed, and the owners liked it so much that they decided to buy a second shed for their duplex building. These sheds have a nice looking texture on the walls with a grayish color, and the floor and roof panels are more of a charcoal color, which gives the shed a better appearance, having the 2 different colors in my opinion. The stability of this shed is decent, but far from being solid, so you want to make sure the shed is anchored down properly to avoid any issues with the wind. The doors work pretty well, but the metal hinges attach to just plastic, so you'll want to make sure not to leave the doors open on a windy day or they might get damaged. And you'll want to make sure that the floor is level as possible before assembling the walls, because if the floor is unlevel, the doors will more than likely not open or close properly. As far as the strength goes for the roof, it does have some metal bars to reinforce it, so it should be able to handle a normal amount of snow, but with a larger snowstorm of 14 inches or more, I would recommend to clear the snow off if possible to avoid any failures with the roof. The amount of storage space available in this shed is pretty good, and there's enough room to fit a standard lawnmower, gardening tools, and much more. Okay, it's now time for me to go. If you liked this video, if you could hit that like button, and please subscribe. And have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.